One of the major challenges of owning a large house is maintaining its cleanliness. Yet, as difficult as this issue might sometime prove, Cornelia Bailey let it completely overwhelm her massive country estate, having not cleaned the place in some 29 years. But in 2015, two people finally offered her some assistance. Back in 1986, Cornelia purchased her Jacobean mansion in Flintshire, Wales for around £70,000. Known as Plas Teg, the house is believed to have been built in 1610, with recent tree dating analysis on timber used in its development supporting this judgment. Since then, the estate's been passed down through a number of different owners. Plas Teg was initially built for politician and associate of King James I, Sir John Trevor I, who lived there with his family at the beginning of the 17th century. During this time, the Trevor family hosted a variety of events for their guests. Then in the 18th century, the mansion came into the possession of Lord and Lady Dockwra, with their own descendants taking charge in the 19th century. During the Second World War, Plas Teg was used to shelter Allied soldiers. From there, after an auctioneer bought the property, it became a furniture shop in 1945. And some 41 years later, antiques collector Cornelia Bailey splashed her cash in order to own the historic building. After purchasing the mansion, Cornelia spent thousands more in maintaining Plas Teg's 17th century character. Eventually, however, her resources dwindled considerably. And so, following her retirement, Cornelia was forced to live exclusively off her pension. As a consequence of her financial situation, Cornelia was required to find other ways of making money for Plas Teg. While the mansion had hosted glamorous events in past centuries, it now merely accommodated paranormal gatherings. Such occasions, however, were not enough to maintain the estate, and given the messy state of the place, the retired owner of the house was short of other options. With that in mind, a British TV show decided to step in and assist Cornelia in 2015. Obsessive Compulsive Cleaners is a Channel 4 program focused on OCD sufferers who travel around the country cleaning dirty houses. In this case, the duo of Dan and Haley arrived on Plas Teg's doorstep, unaware of the great challenges that awaited them. Ahead of their arrival, Cornelia gave some insight into her troubles. 200 years ago, there'd be 20 or 30 people looking after the house, she said in the episode. Now there's just me and the cat. On that note, the owner then provided an explanation behind her passion for Plas Teg. This house means so much to me because I'm a collector, Cornelia continued. I almost think furniture and things are important as people, you see. But the financial pressures are terrible. It's got to make more money. From there, she listed a number of issues inside the house, including the broken oven and boiler. The latter problem in particular led Cornelia to make a frank admission. The last time I had a bath was about 2 or 3 years ago, she said. I can't afford the hot water. But in the 18th century, people didn't have baths all the time, so I'm just living in another age, that's all. After that, the retired antiques dealer turned her attention to other parts of the house. I don't hoover because I don't like hoovering, she said. You know, I think this floor has been hoovered perhaps 2 or 3 times in 29 years. In a bid to raise some funds for Plas Teg, Cornelia decided to host a public tour of the mansion. Due to the state of the interior, though, she was forced to finally admit that she needed assistance. When I bought the house, I didn't realize how much it was going to be a problem, she claimed on the show. It's just me, so I obviously need extra help. With that in mind, OCD sufferers Dan and Haley arrived at Plas Teg, immediately noting the size of the property. After being greeted at the door by Cornelia, the pair walked into the mansion, with the task ahead of them clear to see. However, before they took around all the rooms, the owner laid down some conditions. I want things done how they were done in another age, Cornelia told the pair. You can't use any spray polishes or any of those modern things on my furniture. You know, I don't like the modern smells, and I hate things that make rooms smell nice. I think they're ghastly. Dan and Haley were left somewhat perplexed by the request. Before being given a tour of Plas Teg, after seeing the state of the kitchen and realizing Cornelia's struggles, the latter offered an assessment. To get this house in order, I think we need a miracle, she said. I can't express enough how big and how messy this house is. Upon learning that neither the bedding nor the mattresses in the bedrooms had been washed in roughly 100 years, Dan and Haley forewent their invitation to stay in the house. Instead, they chose to sleep in a nearby hotel. But despite this decision, the pair pressed ahead in their mission to clean Plas Teg. Due to the sheer size of the manor, the cleaners concentrated on fixing up just 3 of the rooms, which included the Great Hall, the kitchen, and the bathroom. With her vacuum cleaner in hand, Haley started to clean the large rug in the hall, immediately noticing the difference. From there, she and Dan split ways to focus on the other 2 rooms. However, due to the limitations placed upon them by Cornelia, Haley struggled in her efforts to properly clean the homeowner's bathroom. And the problems didn't end there. Haley and Dan eventually clashed with Cornelia while working in her kitchen, being scolded for moving things around. Yet despite those difficulties, Dan and Haley eventually completed their mammoth task, with Cornelia returning to Plostag alongside her friend Mark. And while she somewhat played down the improvement, Mark believed that his friend was secretly delighted. Not long after, the public tour took place, with some suggesting the mansion would be a perfect place to host a wedding. Following the tour, Dan and Haley said their goodbyes to Cornelia, who then hailed the work they had completed. "They've done a good job," she said. "They've made it much cleaner." And from there, she looked ahead to the mansion's future. "I think weddings could be a part of Plostag's future," she added. "I'll keep fighting the battle for this house because I love it."